Good morning and welcome to Wednesday. Last night we had the last of our 6-week gratitude group. I started it as an experiment in how to connect with people during this time of pandemic, and hoped that it would attract a group of people beyond just our typical congregation based locally here in Denver, and indeed it did. We had 20 participants that included folks in South Carolina, Pennsylvania, Texas, and Grand Junction. And what was really interesting is that there really was a sense of community built from these diverse places in 6 weeks of conversation around the topic of gratitude during difficult times. I was very pleased by that, and it just reaffirms our desire to really focus on being both a fully local congregation and a digital congregation, and the richness that comes along with that, the opportunities that we would never have thought of before the pandemic. So gratitude was an appropriate topic to talk about during a time when we can frequently feel a little lost, burned out, weary. But I didn't know how much a topic of gratitude spent for 6 weeks with a group of people would really shape my life in a new way. So, there's lots of questions about what is gratitude, and, lots of academic thought and theological speculation and so forth. But the bottom line is, Diana Butler Bass was talking about a movement from gratitude as a feeling to gratitude as a habit to gratitude as a moral framework for our lives, for our families, for our communities, and ultimately for our world. Moral framework might not be appealing language to everybody. Somebody said, well, what about talking about an orientation toward gratitude? And I said, but we live in a world right now that is led by someone who is so amoral that having a moral framework and being conscious of that is a good thing. And certainly gratitude is a good basis for that. And if gratitude is your moral framework, or if it's your orientation to life, then it does have effects. A life based on gratitude would focus on life's abundance, not on its scarcity. And the opposite of that, a life built not on gratitude but on fear and anxiety, would result in your focus being on scarcity. I have to say, I'm really grateful to lead a congregation whose practice has been for years now to think in terms of abundance. That's how we were able to approach ministry during this pandemic. There's an abundance of ways that we can connect and be with one another despite our separation and isolation. Let's not just wait for the time when we can come back together, but let's look at what is now possible that we wouldn't have thought of before, as I mentioned. A 6-week group on gratitude that covered 20 people in 4 different states. So I'm looking forward to our next steps with this, and our next group on Zoom will be called P Squared, led by Terry Bowen, and it will be about learning different methods of prayer and connecting people and prayers. P Squared, kind of clever, and we get to be clever and creative during this time, and I'm grateful for that, and pray that you have a grateful day. Bye.